I found this story really interesting. So let's learn how this dentist came up with the Welch's grape juice on this episode of Antique Bottle Stories. Dr. Thomas Bramwell Welch was born in 1825 in England. I didn't find when he makes his way to America, but he did start out in New York, where at the age of 19 he became a Methodist minister. This 1850 census shows him at 24 and he's still preaching. He had to stop after a few years because apparently he had weak vocal cords and preaching was too taxing for him. So the next census we see is 1855 and he's still in New York, but he's a physician now. In 1857, he's made his way to Minnesota, and now he's a dentist. Eesh, can you imagine being a dentist in the time where there's no toothpaste or mouthwash? It's bad enough in this day. In 1860, he's still in Minnesota, but by 1870, he's in Vineland, New Jersey. Now let's look at his household real quick. He's 44 now. His wife is Lucy. His two oldest boys are in their early 20s now, and they're listed as dentists as well. The next son down is Charles, and he will become a dentist soon too, and we will hear a lot more about him in a minute. I count 7 kids total here. Well, in Vineland, New Jersey, there were a lot of vineyards, and Thomas often received bushels of grapes as payments for his services. Thomas Welch was a prohibitionist. He felt that alcohol was the work of the devil, and while at church, he hated the thought that the communion wine had alcohol in it, and he wanted a non-alcoholic alternative. So one night in 1869, with a bushel of grapes in hand, he understood that the reason grapes fermented was because the natural sugar in the grapes was converted to alcohol by yeast that collected in the fruit. So he experimented to see if he added heat to the mixture, maybe it would kill off the yeast, and that would prevent it from becoming alcoholic. So he made a bottle of grape juice, and then he placed that bottle in a pot of boiling water to kill the yeast. He was satisfied with the result, and he called it Dr. Welch's unfermented wine. Here's a bottle of Dr. Welch's unfermented wine right here. So he took it to church with him, and he tried to get his church to change out the alcoholic wine for his non-alcoholic wine. Well, as you might expect, it didn't go over well. And Welch, as strongly as he felt, you can imagine that put him in a really tough spot. Well, as time went on, Thomas became a self-appointed guardian of Vineland's dry law, making sure that anyone he found selling alcohol within city limits was prosecuted. In 1870 and 1871, he crusaded to get the neighboring cities to also become dry, which he eventually accomplished, but not without some crazy violent riots first. Eventually, all the saloon keepers were arrested and their businesses were shut down. So Dr. Welch continued making his unfermented wine for a while, and he did sell some to a few churches here and there, but mostly his family just drank it at home. Then, in 1892, Welch's youngest son, who remember was Charles, and he's also a dentist now, decided to see if he could do a little bit more with this juice. Charles was about 40 at this point, and he borrowed $5,000 from his dad, and he changed the name to Welch's Grape Juice, and he started manufacturing out in the barn out back. Then he took it to the Columbian Exposition in 1893, giving out free samples to millions of people. Hey, I actually remember that Heinz was there that year too. Anyways, he gave out samples at other expositions in the next couple years, and this resulted in a huge demand for the juice. And soon, Charles gave up his dentist job to devote to manufacturing juice full time. Here's an 1895 directory, and there's a lot of information in here. First, Charles is listed with T.B. Welch & Son, which is apparently a publishing company that they had together. And there's the Welch Grape Juice Company. Then there's a nice ad here for the Grape Juice Company. Then it says T.B. Welch & Son, publishers of The Outlook, which I can't find much on, but it might be religious in nature. Then at the bottom, Thomas is listed with T.B. Welch & Son, the Grape Juice Company, dental manufacturer. Apparently he also made dental supplies. and the editor of a publication called Items of Interest, which I did find some information on, and that was a dental column. The name was soon changed to Dental Brief. So they were pretty busy. Charles then started advertising more heavily. He advertised that not only was the juice non-alcoholic, but it was also a healing tonic. One of the advertisements features a young lady that states, "The lips that touch Welch's are all that will touch mine." As a healing tonic, Welch's advertised that it cured typhoid fever, pneumonia, and all kinds of other things. By 1897, Welch's grape juice became just as popular as sodas, and it was seen right alongside of them at the fountain. Here we see that the address for both businesses were at 600 Wood, which is here. You can even see Thomas's white beard in the doorway there. Now, when I put in 600 Wood Street in Google Maps, it brings me to this intersection, but I can't tell which corner it would have been on, so I don't think it's standing anymore. And right around the turn of the century, a disease got a hold of his grapes, and soon Charles made the decision to move to Westfield, New York, near Lake Erie, near a large source of grapes. His dad Thomas stayed behind in New Jersey, but they remained partners until Thomas sold his portion to his son just before he died in 1903. Thomas died 2 days shy of his 78th birthday. Now, Charles felt just as strongly as his dad did about the alcohol. Once, a salesman came in with a huge order from Texas. Charles was furious, and he refused to fill the order. He said, "Cancel it. No one would order 200 half-gallons of juice except to make wine." The area in New York grew such a reputation for growing grapes, and Charles named a small section after himself called Chedwell. It's a small community in Chautauqua County, New York. He built himself a few houses, complete with little guest cottages, a tennis court, and a croquet court. Charles was also mayor of Westfield 6 times. Well, some of the property was sold off, but I found that one of the houses still remains, and for $500 to $700 a night, you can stay at his lakefront house, which is an Airbnb. It looks amazing though. They really did a good job updating it and keeping it up. It says it was built in 1912 by the Welch family. The demand for Concord grapes became so great that Welch bought out large vineyards in the northern states that became devoted to growing grapes only for Welch. In 1914, he built a plant in Ontario, Canada. During the Prohibition, Welch's grape juice became even more popular. In 1922, he opened a plant in Arkansas, and he planted another 15,000 acres of vineyards. He also expanded to California, and someone noted that with all the vineyards making grapes for juice and jellies, there aren't really any wines being made. I can see Charles right now, secretly smirking to himself, right? So, Charles died in 1926 while he was visiting his sister in Florida. He was sitting at the breakfast table when he had a heart attack. His son, Edgar Thomas Welch, took over as president. Now, I found some really interesting articles in the paper. Here's one in 1935 that includes some interesting recipes using Welch's grape juice. One is for fruit punch, that's okay, fine. There's another one, you put a ball of sherbet in the glass of cold juice, okay, that's good. But she lost me at Welch's grape eggnog. Okay, you ready for this? 6 eggs, well beaten, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 3 cups of Welch's juice. Beat the eggs and sugar for 1 minute, add cold juice and stir well, and pour into glasses. No thanks. Here, it's advertised as a constipation relief. I mean, look how happy he is. Now, this one made me laugh out loud. Don't be fat. They were advertising it as part of a weight loss regimen. By 1955, the company was sold to a cooperative group of farmers. Sales reached $37 million. Now, here's the kicker. The very next year, after the Welch family no longer has control, the company started producing and selling wine. Wow. I mean, what a smack in the face to everything they stood for. In the 1960s, Welch's was a major sponsor of the animated series The Flintstones. There were commercials made with the Flintstones, and they were on jars of Welch's grape jelly, which could be used as a drinking glass afterwards. In the early 1970s, the Archie's cartoon characters were on the jars. Today, Welch's is now being manufactured by Dr. Pepper Snapple Group. So my bottle is a really small, I would say a children's-sized bottle. I mean, it's a little over 5 inches tall. I don't think it holds more than a few ounces. It's blown, tooled top. It says Welch's grape juice, so it would have been after 1892, but it's blown, so it wouldn't be any older than the 19-teens. It doesn't have any marks to tell me if it was made in New Jersey or New York, otherwise we could narrow the date down a little bit closer. Well, I did find a few of those Flintstone commercials, so enjoy, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Say, how would a little Welch's snack go right about now? Say a sandwich made with Welch's grape jelly. You just spread your bread with Welch's and, delicious?
Yes, sir.
Do you know why deep purple Welch's grape jelly tastes so much better than other kinds? Well, look, when jelly is made by an ordinary process, much of the flavor can be cooked away and lost. See?
Yeah.
But Welch's uses a special recovery process to trap the flavor and return it to the jelly. See that?
You bet I do.
No wonder Welch's grape jelly has that deep purple color that means more fragrance and flavor than other kinds. Be sure you always buy Welch's grape jelly. Because Welch's grape jelly is the And now Welch's grape jelly 10-ounce size tumblers come decorated with a series of Flintstones designs. Start a collection today.
4. Not bad, Barney boy.
Ta-ta, champ.
Let's go, Tyrone. I've got an idea.
Yes, sir, a glass of Welchade coming up. Welchade's the Power Packed Refresher because it's made with genuine Welch's grape juice. And grapes are rich in levulose, the natural energy food you athletes need.
Yeah, and I love that good grape taste. Down in front, Barney. 4.
Hey, what the...
Barney, a hole-in-one. Have some Welchade, Barney. Welchade's the Power Pack Refresher.
Oh, boy, hole-in-one, here I come. 4.
And 4 extra power to get Welchade with my picture on the can.